Welcome to Building Your First Home, the podcast where we provide advice and simplify the idea of building your home. Brought to you by Turnkey Building Group, I'm one of your hosts, Justin Inglequay, and I'm joined, as always, by Jordan Wilson. Welcome, Jordan.
Great to be here.
What are we trying to do with this podcast, Jordan?
Well, in our 10 years assisting clients with building their home, we found that most people's knowledge of building is based around the experiences or opinions of their friends and family who may not always be the best source of information. The aim of this podcast is to share the knowledge of the industry professionals we work with every day so that anyone considering building can listen to the information in their own time. The reason we've done this is because at Turnkey Building Group, we believe building your home should be an exciting and enjoyable journey.
Let's get into it. Welcome to Building Your First Home.
On today's show, we're going to discuss how a client would begin to explore the idea of building their first home.
We'll go over the typical journey people go through from initially walking through display homes to browsing builders and land estates online.
Joining us today to discuss this question is Jess. Jess has worked in the industry now for 8 years and has been with Turnkey for 2 years as our sales manager. Throughout her career, she has worked with large and small builders and is the perfect person to talk to about this topic. Welcome, Jess.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Jess, tell us a bit about your background in the new home industry.
Yeah, so I started off when I was about 21. I worked for a volume builder as an associate, and then I ended up working my way up to become a sales consultant. After a few years, I then moved on to another volume building company as a sales consultant. And from there, I also moved on to a custom builder.
So as a sales consultant, you were the one who would directly help clients with purchasing a property?
I was, yeah. So I'd be the one that would sit down with them and help them with the whole process.
And having done that for both volume builders and custom builders, what would you say are the differences between the two?
Ooh, I would say a volume builder has already pre-designed floor plans that you can build, but with a custom builder, you usually will come in with a design and then the custom builder will help work back and forth with you to design a home and then help you build it.
And of the two, is there one you preferred more?
It's hard to say. I enjoyed working for both, but I think maybe the custom builder was a little bit more fun to work for. I did enjoy designing floor plans with clients.
A little bit more in-depth, do you think?
Yeah. I like being creative, so it was fun.
I mean, in saying that, if with custom build, you get to create your own floor plan every time, why would a client not always want to get their own plan done?
It can be a very long process going through a custom builder. As well, it's really hard to know the upfront cost of a custom plan because the builder's never built this before. So it can take a bit of time for them to design it, get it priced, and then when they're on site, they may come across new things or hurdles that may pop up, and there may be some additional costs that come to you when you're building.
So given the cost of construction today for a first home builder, what would you recommend, going down the custom build path or the volume build path?
I'd say volume build path, yeah.
For a bit more certainty?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely. I mean, they've already built those designs, so they already have it priced. So they're going to be able to tell you the price of what it costs to build that home straight up.
So in saying that, the cost of a volume builder is a little bit more affordable than going direct custom?
Yeah. But you guys have experience working for a volume builder. What did you find was more affordable when you came up against a custom builder?
It was always a volume build would be more affordable than a custom builder. I mean, when you're doing a custom build, obviously the builder is allowing for that uncertainty you talk about, and they're always going to have to build in a buffer to make sure when they're on site, if things cost more than they were expected, it's still going to be profitable build for that builder, let's say. So yeah, volume is definitely always more affordable. I think for a lot of clients also, having the opportunity to start with a design and then maybe work on that, tailor it to their requirements rather than having to think what they want from a blank canvas was a lot easier if they're not an experienced builder.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, there wasn't many first home buyers that I helped with the custom route.
Yeah, like full from scratch, because I guess no one, if you haven't built before, you don't really know what you don't know. So I think most people would come in with some sort of concept or at least an idea, and then you'd help them redefine it from there.
Yeah, it was quite funny actually. They would always come in with a baking paper and their pencils sketched floor plan, and then it really just started from basic and then ended up being their dream home.
They come in to cook something.
Whole bathrooms in the space of a wardrobe.
I don't know why they chose baking paper, but yes, their bathroom would be the same size as their wardrobe.
Yeah. And it all somehow fitted on a block that was small.
The house would somehow be on the neighbour's block, but it was fine.
It was definitely a process of trying to educate them that maybe their dream home didn't fit on that block that they'd found down in the area for about $200,000.
So then when you're at the volume builder, what did the typical process look like there?
With the volume builder, it was a lot different. So you would have people walking through the door, coming to have a look at the display homes, not really knowing anything. So you were really there to try and help and guide them in the right spot.
Yeah, so they'd just come in, look at the display homes and then like one of the options they saw, or...
Yeah, that's pretty much how they thought it worked, I'd say. They would come through the display home and think that the floor plan that they liked was going to be the house that they built.
Yeah, I think we used to find that a little bit at the in the volume builders. They'd come through, they wouldn't really want to speak to a salesperson. They just wanted to look at the homes, and then from there, if they didn't want to sit down, they wouldn't really get enough information to actually help them buy something.
Well, I guess the challenge there is every time you walk into a display home, what's on display realistically is going to be a very expensive property. And, you're going to be looking at a big double. It's 50 squares. It starts at $500,000. It's got another $500,000 in upgrades. And obviously, I guess a lot of clients don't realize that until they actually speak to someone and they walk around. They do this process of, we love this house. But then the reality is there's no way they could get the funds they need to build it.
What was the main question that we all got after someone walked through a display home? And it was, what was this house base price? And then the follow-up question was, what is it as displayed?
Yeah.
And that difference was always quite a lot.
And then also trying to sit them down and explain to them that there was this promotion running with this promotion, so you got this and that. It was too hard to say just off them walking through a display. They actually needed to sit down with you so you could guide them through what actually was needed to be added to this house for them to have a complete package.
Well, I guess they're walking around a display village going from basically competitor to competitor with a different process, different inclusions, all these different things. They really needed to speak to someone to get the knowledge that they needed to actually make a decision.
Yeah.
I think the other big factor a lot of people wouldn't take into account when they're walking through is you're getting the price to build a house, but the house needs to go on a block of land as well. And when that house goes on a block of land, there's the cost of the land. But a lot of the time with builders, there's a lot of other costs like your site costs and your developer requirements they're not including up front in that pricing that they need to allow for.
It's hard because there is a few sales consultants out there that will not generally be upfront with that information, and it can confuse customers walking through those doors. You need a sales consultant that is going to sit you down and actually say, okay, these are some hidden costs. There's your developer guidelines, there's your site costs, there's your council requirements. You need to make sure that these are added to your home price as well, and then you can have your overall package price.
So then when you talk about an overall package price, or I guess a house and land package, can you explain a little bit more about what that means?
Obviously, if you're looking at a house and land package, the builder is taking the home and they're putting it with a block of land and they're working out what the cost would be for that home on that block of land versus when you're looking at a separate block of land that maybe a client has purchased and then they're trying to add a build to it. I mean, there's a lot of ways clients would come unstuck with that. You would see clients, for example, purchase a block of land not being aware of what the true build cost might be. And that would create a situation where we'd have clients and they'd come through and they found this great block of land in their mind. They paid $280,000 for 800 square meters. And you'd say, well, where is this block of land?
Yeah.
And then they'd be so excited and they'd be telling you and you'd be like, oh no, because you knew it was the side of a hill. You knew it had 15 meters of fall and you knew there was no way that they were going to build on that block for anything cheaper than sort of $800,000 for the build cost. And their overall budget, $600,000.
Yeah, well, you're right, because I guess a lot of people, I remember they would come to me and they would say, we want your help. This is my budget. This is what I'm working with. And then I would give them advice and I would say, so this size house, this size lot or land, this will suit your budget and this will work for you. And I send them off, they go home and they think, okay, perfect. I've got a house and land package with a block of land, with a house. And then they'll speak to, say, their parents, and their parents will say, oh, that block's too small. No, you can't go with that. And then all of a sudden they're going back to that land agent and they're buying a bigger block now, more expensive because their parents told them to. And they come back to me all excited saying, we've got the block, we've got it. Help us with the house. But now I can't because they've only left 200,000 over for their house budget. And I don't have a product for that.
I think for a sales consultant working for a builder, they have a very good understanding of what land prices are, what construction prices, the actual costs are. So when a client comes in with an overall budget, I guess we all kind of know what we need to work with in terms of where that land price can go and what it can't exceed. So I guess we try and educate those buyers on the overall land size and price that they need to work within, and it is like one of the most important parts of the process.
I mean, further to that as well, maybe a lot of people's parents might not understand it, but there's no point buying 600 square meters of land and building a 12 square 3-bedroom house on that block because you're going to spend $800,000. And even if you've got that budget, it's not going to be worth $800,000 when it's finished.
That's
so
right.
essentially you're going to lose money, even though you've got the best intentions that your higher square meterage land is where the growth is. That's where we're going to make the money. At the end of the day, it needs an appropriate house on that block of land as well, because you're not going to be redeveloping this land anytime in the next probably 50 years.
Well, we're talking about in some suburbs in the southeast of Victoria, land prices can be $1,300 per square metre. So if you go from a 300 square metre block, which is probably an average lot size now, to a 600 square metre block, we're not talking about, 40, 50 grand extra. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars more.
And I think what was important as well was trying to educate my clients is that this is a stepping stone. They're not going to be able to buy a 42 square double story on the biggest block they found in that estate straight away. Just because their parents have it doesn't mean they can. I mean, they can start off with something that they can afford and then build their way up to having that.
I found that a lot, that first home buyers would think that new homes are really, really cheap. Like to build, you can go and build the biggest home in a new area and it's going to cost you nothing. But the reality was there was still cost involved with building, a nice big home. And I think that was a lot of advice that I used to give was just try and get yourself into the market, and a lot of those buyers, those properties would have doubled in value in the last sort of 7-8 years.
Exactly. But in your experience, I'm a first home buyer. I'm going to be building a house. Do I come and talk to you first about building, or do I go and buy a block of land and then try and find a house that I should build on it?
You will come to me first. It is so important that you come to me first and have a chat, because I'm going to find out what you're able to spend. I'm going to make sure that you have spoken to, say, a finance broker, and you've been able to sit down and see, okay, this is how much you can borrow. Then from that amount, I can then show you options that are available that will actually sit within that. So
you could actually help show the options to the client without them needing to do that research themselves.
I can, yeah. I have it all in front of me. So I have a relationship with every developer in Australia. I have, for the company we're working for now, I have around 15 different builders that we're working with, so 1,000 different floor plan options. So I have it all right there.
So if a client were to go and try and purchase their own block of land, does every block cost the same to build on?
No, it changes. It changes so much.
How much can it change?
So you can have one block in an estate sitting right next door to another block, and then that other block could be about $15,000 more expensive.
Can you give us like an example of how that could happen?
So you could be sitting on one block that's perfect, and then right next door to it is a dam that has been filled in, and that land agent may not have told you this information, but as someone like me, I can have a look at this information and see that for you and let you know that block isn't a good block.
I guess on the price list, they might think, that block of land's $10,000 cheaper to purchase outright, but overall the end result is going to cost more than the $10,000 that they're saving.
Yeah, and they're not going to find that out until it's too late. That's why it's so important that we have a conversation before they even look at taking that block off the market. We're going to look into things like that.
Do you have any horror stories you could share, Jess? Any clients where they really got it wrong?
Oh, yeah, I have. There's this one client that I was working with actually, and they went and bought a block of land. It was over a dam, unfortunately. It was actually an old sewage plant, but the person selling it to them didn't let them know.
So the whole block was a sewage plant.
Underneath, it was like just, it wasn't nice.
So
No, the whole estate, sorry, but this.
But they removed the sewage.
They removed it, yeah.
so it didn't smell too bad.
And, it didn't smell bad, but I don't know. I still don't trust it.
So what happened with that?
So they were buying land in here, and this land was already expensive because it's in a really good location. But the land agent wasn't telling them that underneath that there's actually about, I'm going to say, 4 to 5 meters of fill, which is excess soil that's just put on top of, say, a dam.
Loose soil.
Loose soil, yeah. And that can cause your site costs when building a home to be up to around that $30,000 to $40,000 mark.
Well, I guess you can't just float a concrete slab on 5 or 6 meters of excess loose soil. Can you?
Unless you want to move.
Yeah, the builder now needs to somehow go and put some concrete pillars all the way down to the compacted area of land and now put your slab on top to support it.
So what sort of cost could that impact on a build?
Well, if you're spending an extra, say, $30,000 to $40,000 just on that, that could blow someone's budget straight away.
So basically 30, 40 grand pumped
Just
into
for
the
that.
ground.
Yeah, just for concrete piers, straight down into the ground. They're never going to see that as well.
And at what stage of the process would a typical customer find this out? Because obviously the land agent sold the land, and I suppose until someone's done some further investigations on the block, no one really knows what they're dealing with.
No, my clients didn't find out until just before they were going to site. So the builder went out to assess the land and then found out, hang on a second, this is loose soil. We're going to have to really support this slab properly, and then came back to the client with a $30,000 to $40,000 bill.
Well, I guess that is definitely a horror story, and I suppose there's probably a lot more of those stories like that out there. So on that then, Jess, what's some advice you'd give to someone that's looking to build their first home?
I would say speak to us first. Please speak to us first. We're not just trying to sell you a house. We're trying to help you.
For sure, yeah. And when you say us, I guess you mean anyone who's actually experienced enough with house and land to be able to educate the clients and provide them with the best options, and know upfront what cost implications might be and how to actually get a client into a home they're happy with.
Yeah, exactly. The client looking for a new home isn't going to know the information that they need to know until it happens to them as well. So we're here to try and help avoid any of that happening, because we just want you to build your house and make sure that you're having the best experience possible.
I guess what you really want is someone who's independent and can give you a non-biased point of view on things so that you get some real advice, not a sales pitch.
Yeah, exactly.
And so if someone were to walk into a display village and speak to someone that's working there, how do they know that they're going to actually do the right thing by the client?
Well, you need someone, I guess, who's got the right level of experience, maybe. Like, I guess a lot of the time, is it someone who actually knows what they're talking about? Is it someone who's there for a sale, or is it someone who's there because they care about their client?
So the advice then would be to ask them how long or how much experience they've had.
How much experience they've had, and I guess what's their background? Who have they worked for? How many clients have they actually helped build a house, and how many of those clients are happy with the house they're living in?
Yeah, and I mean, since I've been doing this for, say, 8 years now, I'm still learning everything. Everything is still you never know everything. So you're always learning something every day. So for myself to be in this industry for 8 years, imagine speaking to somebody who's been doing it for 2 months.
Well, on that, how many clients do you think you would have helped build a new home?
Oh, I'd say about over 1,000. What about you guys?
It would be, over 1,000.
In excess, I think.
It's a lot of clients. I have my favourite ones. They're all
Jordan,
good.
you can't call yourself your own favourite client.
I have my favourite ones, being myself.
And it's so hard because we know so much, and it's so hard to try and educate the client if they don't want to listen as well and they don't believe you. But we really are just trying to help them at the end of the day.
Well, there's no course or there's no qualification. No one can teach you the things that we know and that we've learned over our experience. You just learn it simply from doing it.
For sure. And I guess it's interesting, compared to a lot of industries, the difference is it's not time in the job even, it's the experience that an individual's had in that time. And it's their approach that they've got to actually caring for their clients versus just trying to make a sale that makes a very big difference.
Definitely agree.
Thank you, Jess, for coming in to speak to us today. And thank you for all your insights. It's great to speak to someone with your experience on the topic.
Thanks, Jess.
Thanks, guys.
That's a wrap for today's episode of Building Your First Home, brought to you by Turnkey Building Group. We hope you found our discussion insightful and feel more confident as you embark on your home building journey.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to Building Your First Home on your favourite podcast platform. Also, follow us on social media at Turnkey Building Group for the latest updates and home building tips. We love hearing from our listeners, so feel free to share your thoughts, experiences, and any topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, have a great day and happy building.